How is everybody? This video is brought to you by Matt, and this is the thing he needs to say. Please acknowledge my conciliatory asset move to the MGTOW divine beings. I strolled into the tram terminal today and was shocked by a threatening shriek that halted me halfway down the flight of stairs. It totally surpassed the Mozart that was impacting through my noise-dropping earphones. It was much more dreadful than a tram shrieking to a stop to make me question where I was. I was at the Circle of Columbus tram station flight of stairs. Following 20 seconds of ghastliness, I saw a Zambo boy run past me and a 22 or 23-year-old 7.5 blonde female with knee socks pursuing him, hollering, "Give me back my telephone." At the point when I came to my senses, I completed the process of strolling down the steps entering the tram terminal and strolled to its furthest limit like I typically do. A moment later, I thought back and saw the blonde who entered the metro terminal peering down at her telephone, and she'd clearly got it back. I kept walking around peering down, and afterward, shockingly, she's standing close to me at the end of the terminal. It was odd because there simply wasn't any undeniable justification for her to stroll by almost 100 feet of empty stage to stand right close to me. Not a really obvious explanation aside from that she with her initial architect socks wanted me, a male of humble social layer, to be a Commander Salvo. Maybe she believed that I should apologize. I wouldn't be certain what to ask her, assuming she was good maybe. Yet all I continued to believe was that there were observers on the stage, and I didn't really have anything to stress over with respect to misleading charges or police investigation. I was trusting that she would simply disappear, and I pondered internally. Assuming I will get along with this lady, it's going to be on my conditions. I won't be some scheme in a lady's plan for asset extraction. The train came, and we got on, and she followed me 2 stops, and afterward I got off alone. I saw John the Others the Unholy MGTOW video, where he comments on a lesson of the pastor, who endeavors to explain why he is against MGTOW, but really demonstrates that he is for MGTOW, saying there's certain individuals who truly have an endowment of God where they can essentially be not married or be seeing someone and be completely happy with that. I don't know whether I've at any point really met somebody like that, who's never been keen on a relationship or marriage their entire lives. Shouldn't something be said about you? What do you really believe are great ways of imparting the nature of independence in young men? The principal thing to recall about independence is that ladies need an independent man, but they don't believe he should think autonomously, implying that he grasps the actual world around him, his place in it, and yet he doesn't have the foggiest idea how to get things done all alone without a lady impacting through the commotion-dropping framework in his cerebrum to bother him right into it. Obviously, that suits her inclinations. If you have any desire to impart the nature of freedom in young men and men, then you really need to make them mindful that the buck stops with them, that they're answerable for their way of living, and they pursue their own decisions. You need to permit them to pursue their own decisions, commit errors and bomb throughout everyday life, and gain proficiency with the important illustration that disappointment is a piece of life. Ultimately, with enough missteps and consuming their hand on the figurative oven of life enough times, they will fabricate sufficient personality to be a touch pessimistic about the world and not permit others to lead them, and will really quit being devotees. That is the genuine issue here. I know some blue pill men that follow their wives and do what they say undeniably. A significant number of these folks are free, can hold down a task and different obligations, yet the working framework in their cerebrums is their emotions being controlled by the lady that they're with. Subsequently, to really make a man free, you really want to get his working situation right. Such countless individuals are hung up on innovation and what it can really achieve. But without the legitimate wiring and programming in a man's brain, he's never going to become free. Individuals say that MGTOW is a way of thinking. I surmise reasoning is an extravagant word for human programming or working framework in the modern reality, where life is more simple than it's has any point been. A great many people are molded or modified to just manage the smallest amount of stress to be free. If you believe that a kid or man should be free, you need to put them through upsetting circumstances, tests, and damage them to manage difficulties in a world without places of refuge. Being free means having the option to rapidly think and react quickly. I'm not discussing book smarts. I'm discussing things as basic as lighting a fire. Take a kid camping in the forest and give him a hatchet and some matches and ask that he sort out a way to light a fire. Try not to give him any assistance and let him utilize his own creative mind to sort out some way to light that fire. Help him to think imaginatively with respect to critical thinking throughout everyday life. A large portion of men's concerns don't really have a one-size-fits-all solution. It means quite a bit to show young fellows how to concoct different answers for a similar issue. The young fellow additionally should be educated to think of his own answer. That is the most proficient for him to carry out on a singular premise. Picking a vocation is a major piece of being free. That is where most children need to go with an immense choice quite early in the age of 16 or 17, and they have no clue about what to do. Assuming that you force your child to concentrate on something they disdain, regardless of whether they're great at it, that is a certain fire method for ensuring that they find a good line of work and become free monetarily. But in any case, would they say they are truly independent? You are the one that chose that life path for them. On the off chance that they pick their own way, one that has a future and brings in cash, on the off chance that they really buckle down, that is valid freedom. Settling on your own decision about what you maintain that should do throughout everyday life, and confronting the results, both positive or negative. For instance, I realized that I wanted to do photography, video composing, brain science, and other innovative things while growing up. Nobody drove me into any of those things. I delighted in it and had a characteristic fitness for those things. Presently, I utilize that large number of abilities consistently, and they make me independent. Ladies in the corporate framework around us dread men that think freely on the grounds that we undermine their power structure. I'll give you a model concerning that lady that had her telephone taken, then recuperated. There could really be something else to it besides what you think. Imagine a scenario in which the person that took her telephone was her boyfriend, and he's being somewhat of a troublemaker about taking her telephone and prodding her about it. Perhaps he simply believes she should pursue him for a change. Who can say for sure? Your whole tale about her following you to get an expression of remorse or perhaps a date might have been a completely concocted thing in your creative mind. It's very possible that your own psyche mind made such an intricate story to persuade you that you were extraordinary, and that assuming you offered her consideration, she would give you approval, consequently firing up the mating dance. Could it be said that you are truly thinking freely about your own programming, or would you say you are thinking with your little head and looking for female approval, rather than seeing an arbitrary happenstance? I mean, if that a similar circumstance happened to you multiple times and that lady had their telephone taken and she did want more and remained close to you, then, at that point, you basically have some private evidence for perceptions about female nature. In any case, it just happened once is maybe obvious. One valuable experience where you just speculated a lady's thought processes isn't sufficient to see a pattern in everyday female nature. Such a large amount of our purported freedom depends on our senses. Our intuition for female approval, our sense to try sincerely and assemble assets. The actual meaning of being free is tied in with losing your independence to a lady. Yet if you're independent and get together assets but think freely, you can partake in the crown jewels for yourself. Additionally, the ladies, legislatures, investors, and enterprises exploit men striving to satisfy their longings for female approval and endorsement. Our whole society lays on the fantasy that the free man is truly free when he hands that independence over to a woman for underhanded moves. Men are starting to awaken to this in the framework, which I couldn't say whether it's entirely mindful of what's going on. I hear so frequently individuals saying that the masters in our general public advance MGTOW on the grounds that it advances the separation of the family unit. However, it accomplishes more than that. It advances the separation of the truly beneficial relationships among people undeniably more. Genuinely free men with interior approval don't have to spend their 20s venturing into the red to purchase an extravagance vehicle. They don't have to work constantly in numerous positions, so the princess can live in solace in buyer paradise. My reasoning is that this worldview has been happening for such a long time that individuals aren't even mindful of it any longer. Individuals figure the possibility that men will continuously be anxious for genuine ladies, and that things will constantly proceed with the way that they have. In any case, if technology like the fake lady sweetheart bots change the game, our existence will seem to be an episode from Dark Mirror. With ladies left shouting at the sky toward the end of that episode, I don't think that anyone out there is seriously thinking that men will ever become independent from women, and independent from the roles of protector and provider. After all, that's in our nature. However, the second you remove that hunger for female approval, the job of provider and defender additionally seems to vanish all alone. That is the manner by which we genuinely make men and young men free, no matter whether it's MGTOW thoughts regarding female nature. Those three things will free every single man and make them more autonomous. But the response that freely figuring men will have very little to no motivator to become autonomous in the customary sense. That is the mystery. In any case, that is all I must say for now. Much appreciated again, Matt, for your point. Remember to crush the like button the way that the female psyche needs to crush interior male approval, and bang the subscribe button. Gratitude for taking your everyday portion of red pills and recall. A red pill daily keeps the taken PDA princesses away, so partake in the remainder of your day and good wishes.